Hey there, my wedding planning friends, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for clicking on my video. I'm Emily Summer. I'm a wedding planner based in Montana, and I make weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice. So we talk a lot about the ladies and the brides when it comes to these wedding planning videos, not a whole lot about the men that are participating in this. So today's video, we're going to chat about menswear and specifically like the do's and don'ts of choosing the attire for your groom and or groomsmen, if that applies to you. So in most cases, I feel like the bride and the bridesmaids are kind of selecting their dresses, or at least you have an idea of what the bridesmaids are going to wear before settling on what the groom and groomsmen are going to wear. That's not always the case, so obviously do whatever makes sense to you. But it's a little bit easier to know what the bride and the bridesmaids are going to be wearing if you are having bridesmaids when deciding on what the males will be wearing at your wedding. So when deciding on the overall style or colors of your groom and groomsmen attire, you want to ask these few questions. One, what time of year are you getting married? What season, essentially? So lighter colors should be reserved for more spring and summer weddings, like linen fabrics, khakis, light blues. Any light colors should be spring and summer. Dark colors are a little bit more universal, classic black or dark gray or dark blue. Those can typically be worn year-round. Just the fabric choices you might make might vary depending on the season, as far as like a thicker wool fabric versus like a lighter linen or cotton material. Next, you also want to ask where the actual physical location of your wedding will be. This goes for regionally as well as venue specific. So if you're doing an outdoor beach wedding, that's probably going to be a lighter linen material, lighter colors. Whereas if you're doing an outdoor, like barn, rustic field wedding, you might opt for darker colors. This will likely also play a role in kind of the level of dressiness or casualness that you will have for this attire as well, based on the location that you're getting married in. Whereas those outdoor venues might be a little bit more laid back and relaxed, and something that you're doing indoor or in a church will likely be more formal and a jacket included. Now, these are just kind of general guidelines if you really have no idea what you're going to do for the menswear at your wedding. They don't need to be hard and fast rules. So do whatever you prefer and what makes sense to you, but use these guidelines to kind of help guide you in a direction. You also want to ask, what will the dress code be for your guests? So if you are relaying a particular dress code to your guests that you are wanting them to show up in, you want to make sure that the groom and groomsmen are also going to be at least at that level, if not a little bit above. So for example, if you are having a formal or black tie optional wedding, then the groom will 100% want to be in a tuxedo, because guests will show up in a tuxedo for a formal or black tie optional wedding. And there should never be guests that are dressed nicer than the groom. This also applies for the groomsmen. If you are doing a more semi-formal or cocktail attire, then you kind of have the option of doing a tuxedo or a suit, but a jacket should be included for this. To a casual or semi-formal, this is when you can get a little bit more relaxed with a lack of a jacket, or maybe a button-up without a tie, or a suspender look, or like sneakers with dress pants, or even jeans instead of dress pants, and get a little bit more relaxed and casual here. Some general rules or tips when it comes to choosing the menswear at your wedding are you want to make sure that it is going to be cohesive with the bridesmaids' dresses. So if you are going for a pattern bridesmaids dress or a mismatched bridesmaids dresses, so if all the bridesmaids are wearing a different color or a different type of fabric or pattern, then I recommend keeping the groomsmen pretty streamlined and have them all in the same thing, the same color, the same uniform look, and that will kind of help tie in a little bit of uniformity to the overall cohesive look, so that it's not everything is mismatched. Additionally, you want to make sure that the colors are going to blend well together. So make sure that they are cohesive in the color palettes as well as kind of seasonally, like we discussed earlier, and the fabrics will be cohesive together. Another general rule is to set the groom apart from the groomsmen in some ways. So if you are doing on the more casual side and maybe the groomsmen will not be wearing suit jackets, then have the groom be the only one that is wearing a jacket. That way they're elevated a little bit more than the groomsmen and the rest of the men at the wedding. If your groomsmen will be wearing jackets, then have the groom in a three-piece suit and just the groomsmen in pants and jacket. Or if the groomsmen will all be dressed in a three-piece suit, put the groom in a tuxedo, and that will kind of elevate him and set him apart a little bit. Another way is also to have a different tie. So maybe all the groomsmen have the same color tie and the groom is in another one of your wedding colors for his tie, or maybe he has a bow tie and the groomsmen all have classic ties. Or if you're keeping everybody pretty dressed up, everyone's going to be in a three-piece suit, everyone's going to be a informal or black tie attire, then have the groom in a slightly different boutonniere. Maybe his is slightly larger or has extra color in it or just a different bloom on the boutonniere. That will kind of set him apart from the rest of the groomsmen. Additional tips, make sure you're getting it tailored. You want to make sure that regardless of where the groom or groomsmen are getting their suits, that it actually is going to be a proper fit to them. Typically this will happen when you are sending your measurements and it should be a pretty good fit for you, but there might be some additional little tailoring that needs to be done primarily for the groom. The groomsmen don't need to be perfectly tailored as long as the suit fits them, but the groom, you want to make sure that suit is going to fit you perfectly. Don't wait until the last minute. I hear so often that the groom and the groomsmen attire is one of those like things that you're finalizing once you've already finished everything else for your wedding. So don't wait till the last minute in case a particular color gets discontinued or there's some delay in production. You want to make sure that you are getting your measurements in and getting these things ordered well in advance so that there is no crunch time or having any last minute hiccups. I also recommend getting everything from the same place. So this can be difficult when you are living somewhere else than your groomsmen or if you're having a destination wedding or something like that. So there's a lot of online resources these days. One that I particularly love is Generation Tux. We partner with them here at Velvet Bride because we don't offer any menswear here in store. And there's not a lot of options locally. And so this is all done online. It's super streamlined, very user-friendly. So you can actually go on the website and virtually design your look. You can also order free swatches. There's an option for a free try-on as well so that you can make sure that what you're envisioning in your head is actually going to look good in person once you see it on their body, and make sure that it's really the vision that you want it to be, as well as ensuring that the fit is going to work for you too. So you can order swatches, make sure that the colors all line up to what you want them to be, and then this is just a great way to ensure that everybody is going to have the same thing. You know it's going to look uniform and you're able to get a good idea of what it will look like before actually getting it in your hands. A lot of times too, the groom as well as the groomsmen suits and tuxes are something that you pick up like at the last minute. So if there's anything that needs to be done or altered before the wedding day, there's such a short window to do this that just causes extra stress, right? So Generation Tux actually will ship them out to you 2 weeks before your wedding date. So you will have it at least 2 weeks on your doorstep before the wedding date so that if there is anything that goes wrong, if something was misordered or missized, there is enough time to return it and get a replacement before the wedding date. This is not a sponsored video. This is just something that I find helpful and efficient when it comes to selecting the menswear at your wedding. So if you are interested in checking them out, I will include a link into Generation Tux here in the description, and you can order yourself some free swatches or maybe do a free try on and see if that's a good option for you. And finally, you want to make sure you know what color your wedding dress is before selecting the groom and groomsmen colors. So if you're going to have them in some form of a white shirt or the groom in some form of a white shirt, don't order a bright white or stark white, classic white button-up for the groom or groomsmen if your dress is not white. So make sure you know if it's ivory or off-white or eggshell. Sometimes it's hard to tell unless you put an ivory next to a bright white what color your dress is. But if your dress is ivory and your groom is going to be in a bright white shirt, it's going to make your dress look a little bit yellowy or kind of dirty in the pictures. So make sure that whatever shade of white your dress is, that's what your groom and groomsmen are going to wear to match. I feel like the men have it somewhat easy when it comes to the attire for the wedding. There's not a ton of options for them. That's probably why it gets put on the back burner a little bit, but hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe to get weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice, and we'll see you next week.